Novel Navigator. Chapter 101, Shocking the Dragon Palace. In the manor where Jian Wushuang lived, Wang Yuan was refining a stove of pills in his own room. It was at the key moment. Fatty Wang, Fatty Wang. Shouts came into the room. Wang Yuan, who was concentrating on refining pills, was distracted all of a sudden. His facial expression changed, before a careless move caused the stove to explode and the pills in it disappeared. Damn it, which bastard wasted my medicinal materials? I will kill him if he cannot give me a good explanation. Wang Yuan, dusty and dirty, kicked the door open and walked out, finding two disciples of Dragon Palace who had a good relationship with him waiting for him outside. What is going on? Wang Yuan asked unhappily. You are refining pills again. The stove exploded, didn't it? Seeing that, the two disciples of Dragon Palace couldn't help laughing secretly. Shortly one of them said seriously, Fatty Wang, Swordsman is going through the Dragon Gate Pass now. He has passed the 8th level. You better go and see. You care about him as he is your brother, isn't he? Third brother? He is going through the Dragon Gate Pass. Wang Yuan startled, then his eyes become bright. He has passed the 8th level. Not only has he passed the 8th level, it is said that he did it with sword essence of raging fire only. The whole Dragon Palace is in shock. Everyone from Dragon Palace is there, and we too came to tell you as soon as we heard the news. That man continued. Passing the 8th level with sword essence of raging fire only. Wang Yuan's eyes were shown even more. Aha, let's go. Let's go to have a look right now. Oh, wait a minute. You go first. I will tell fourth sister to go with me. Wang Yuan said. Okay, hurry up. We have told you the news. Soon Wang Yuan and Suro, who was cultivating earnestly in her room just now, walked together to the Dragon Gate. Outside Dragon Gate, there were huge crowds of people. Except those who were adventuring outside, almost all the disciples of Dragon Palace were there. Genius disciples like Bai Cheng, Sulai and others who rarely showed up but were capable of passing the 8th level were there too. Sulai, I didn't expect you would come. Bai Cheng glanced at Sulai. Aha, I didn't expect you would come, too. Sulai smiled and said, rarely a fantastic talent appears in Dragon Palace. Of course I want to have a look. Bai Cheng snorted without saying another word. However, looking at the golden tower in the front, his eyes flashed strangely. Swordsman. Jian Wushuang. Bai Cheng's eyes were cold. Target of Scarlet Kill Command, His Excellency in Grey personally ordered me to act decisively and kill him whenever I got a chance. But it is in Dragon Palace, to kill him is not easy. Openly, Bai Cheng was a top genius in Dragon Palace. In fact, he belonged to Bloodfeather Tower. He was a spy in Dragon Palace sent by Bloodfeather Tower at a huge cost. Many disciples present were talking about Swordsman. What a surprise! All of us thought multitasking was impossible and that it was stupid to comprehend sword essence of Gale, Earth sword essence and sword essence of raging fire at the same time. However, he has passed the 8th level of Dragon Gate with sword essence of raging fire only. Tut tut. The news that Jian Wushuang passed the 8th level with sword essence of raging fire only had spread throughout Dragon Palace. At first, some of them doubted about it. However, when they arrived at the Dragon Gate, they met the level keeper of the 8th level. He admitted that he was defeated by Jian Wushuang with sword essence of raging fire only. They burst into an uproar. No one doubted it anymore. Then, they were waiting to see how far Jian Wushuang could go. Passing the 8th level, so what? Even if he succeeded with sword essence of raging fire only, what would that prove? Maybe it is because he put all his energy in comprehending it but neglected sword essence of Gale and Earth sword essence. I'm afraid he comprehends sword essence of raging fire the most now. Unexpectedly, Someone snorted and said those words. It was Nangongji, who had prior history with Jian Wushuang. At the beginning, all of them didn't have any expectations of Jian Wushuang. Even Palace Master White was extremely disappointed that he comprehended 3 kinds of sword essence at the same time. However, Nangongji was happy to see this. But when he heard that Jian Wushuang had passed the 8th level with sword essence of raging fire only, he was jealous. I'm sure that Swordsman is best at sword essence of raging fire. He will go as far as the 8th level. To pass the 9th level is impossible. If he did it, I would change my first name with my last name. Nangongji groaned. He said loudly. Many disciples of Dragon Palace around him nodded after hearing that. They thought Nangongji was in the right. If Jian Wushuang really made great progress while comprehending sword essence of raging fire, gale, and earth at one time, it was truly in defiance of the natural order. Of course, no matter what the results would tell. In the 9th level of Dragon Gate, the level keeper in it was a red-haired strong man. Comprehending raging fire knife principle, he fought with a saber in an overbearing way. And Jian Wushuang fought back with sword skill of blood and fire based on sword essence of raging fire. One strike after another, each one was going to all out, causing flames which could destroy everything. He had been fighting with the red-haired strong man for a long time. Swordsman, I know you, and know that you are most good at sword essence of gale and sword essence of earth. Use them all, otherwise you can't defeat me with sword essence of raging fire only. Suddenly a saber split while he was talking, and the air was split in half in an instant. When Jian Wushuang was deflecting the saber of the red-haired strong man, the corners of his mouth quirked up. I have been studying sword principle of fierce fire in the last half a year. Finally I could display the 6th move of sword skill of blood and fire. However, it could only help me pass the 8th level. Fighting with the level keeper at the 9th level, he is totally suppressed, and more important, the level keeper doesn't do his best. Jian Wushuang shook his head and smiled. Then he did not keep his strength hidden any longer. Be careful. After saying it, Jian Wushuang thrust out his triple kill sword immediately. Wow! It crossed tens of meters in a moment, so did the sword light. Fast, so fast. It was too fast to react in time. Formless swordsmanship, the 6th move. The red-haired strong man opened his eyes wide. However, Jian Wushuang had already stepped toward the 10th level. The 9th level passed. The truth was that Jian Wushuang defeated him with only one move when he didn't hide his strength. In the 10th level, his opponent was a woman in black who used a long spear. She comprehended dripping water and gale at the same time, and her spearmanship was fast and powerful. This time, Jian Wushuang totally suppressed her with both sword essence of raging fire and sword essence of gale. Finally the strength of earth ground realm in his body was unleashed. After several rounds, he defeated her. The 10th level passed. Chapter 102, A Big Explosion. On the 11th level of Dragon Gate, a black-robed lady stood there with a jet-black long staff in her hands. You, a warrior who is only in the spiritual sea realm, managed to pass through up to this level. Excellent. The black-robed lady coldly looked at Jian Wushuang and said, "Show me all your strength." "As you wish." Some fighting intent rose in his eyes. Without the aid of resources from Dragon Palace, he had meditated and cultivated alone in the endless mountain range for half a year. However, he had generated a sword-shaped phantom in his mind when his sword soul completely woke half a year ago. After generating the sword-shaped phantom, he reached a totally new level in comprehending sword essence. Because of that, even though he spent half a year in the endless mountain range on his own, his comprehension speed was faster than it would have been in Dragon Palace with aid from various resources. There are 13 levels in total. The higher you go, the tougher the challenge is. As for the opponent of the 11th level, they are definitely much stronger than the 10th level. I will use you to test my progress from this half of a year. Come on. Jian Wushuang unleashed his strength to the limit. At the same time, 3 kinds of sword essence, earth, gale, and raging fire, also soared. How much progress had he made in the last 6 months? This battle would answer that. Boom. The air instantly split as a terrifying sword shadow was unleashed. The black-robed lady felt as if an immense mountain was heading toward her, with a vast power that made her hold her breath. Formless sword wave, the 10th move. The black-robed lady was shocked. Formless sword wave only has 14 moves? He can actually use the 10th move? How did he gain such great comprehension into sword essence of earth at such a young age? Although it was frightening, the black-robed lady took action immediately. That black long staff immediately flew out, like a soaring dragon. The black-robed lady only had comprehension in sword essence of earth, but she had reached an extremely high level. She was at least at a higher level than Jian Wushuang. After hearing the sound of a loud collision, Jian Wushuang changed his movement and directly thrust his long sword. The 6th move of formless sword arts. The black-robed lady immediately reacted. But the next moment, sword skill of blood and fire slashed towards her again. The sword essences of gale, earth, and raging fire. Jian Wushuang had perfectly transitioned between 3 kinds of sword essence and maximized their power. I have an extremely high comprehension of these 3 sword essences. But, it's unfortunate, I haven't managed to combine them. So far, I'm only able to perfectly transition between them. Otherwise, my sword arts would be infinitely more powerful than they are right now, Jian Wushuang thought to himself. After comprehending different kinds of sword essence, it was not only possible to perfectly transition between them, they could also be combined. Perfectly transitioning just meant moving from one sword essence to another. But they were still completely separate from each other. When combined, 2 different sword essences could be simultaneously released at once. One sword stroke consisting of 2 different kinds of sword essence, which was naturally much stronger than a sword stroke with only one kind of sword essence. Obviously, it was much easier to transition, yet extremely difficult to combine. But I'm able to defeat you by perfectly transitioning between the 3 sword essences. A sharp light flashed in Jian Wushuang's eyes as he released his full strength. 3 different sword essences. Sometimes, it was the massive and vast sword essence of earth, with monstrous vigor. Sometimes, it was the ethereal and light sword essence of gale, with incredible speed. And sometimes it was even a berserk and violent sword essence of raging fire, with terrifying power. Faced with the perfect transition and display of 3 sword essences, the black-robed lady could only try her best to strike back. But, in the end, she did not manage to fight back and was completely suppressed. Once she was suppressed, the result was obvious. In a single moment, the black-robed lady was defeated. The 11th level, passed. In the air, above the nearby dragon gate, 10 powerful figures stood there, using void walk. Obviously, all of them were supreme experts in the yin-yang void realm. Palace Master Black and Palace Master White were the leaders among them, while the others were Palace Masters of the 4 temples of earth, fire, water, and wind. Recently, I tried to persuade him in person, suggesting that he should not waste effort attempting to comprehend sword essence of raging fire. But a few days later, he passed the 8th level with only sword essence of raging fire. How ironic, Palace Master White said without any irritation. He isn't sneering at you. He just wants to show you that he is right, commented another Palace Master before laughing. Not necessarily. To do 3 things at once is still extremely difficult. He did make progress in sword essence of raging fire, but he may make small progress or no progress in the other 2 sword essence. So what's the point? Palace Master White said, shaking her head. Even now, she persisted in her opinion. To do 3 things at one time was essentially wrong. What do you think? How many levels can the young man pass through? The Palace Master Black, who had been silent this whole time, suddenly asked. Merely with sword essence of raging fire, he passed the 8th level. Even if he didn't make much progress for the last 6 months, he is likely to pass the 9th level by perfect transitioning between the 3 different sword essences given his high comprehension in sword essence of Gale as well as sword essence of Earth. Well, the 9th level. It is possible, but it is also the limit. Maybe. After all, the higher the level of Dragon Gate is, the tougher the challenge is. It was easy for him to pass the 8th level. However, even if he uses the 3 sword essences, he isn't likely to pass the 9th level. But, I still think that he can make it. The group of palace masters was casually talking and laughing. Suddenly, a dazzling golden light shined from the 9th level of the golden pavilion. Haha! He passed the 9th level. Several palace masters laughed at once. In the square outside of the Dragon Gate, many disciples of Dragon Palace were in a turmoil. But the turmoil only persisted for a short while. Zoom! The 10th level of the Golden Pavilion lit up a minute later. Then, the same dazzling golden light began shining from the 11th level. The 10th level, passed. The 11th level was also passed. In the air above the nearby Dragon Gate, the palace masters were silent, staring at the Golden Pavilion with eyes full of shock and disbelief. Was it possible? Jian Wushuang was able to squeeze through the 7th level 6 months ago. With the passing of only half a year, could he have really passed the 11th level? How can this be? My God! The 11th level. Has he really passed the 11th level? Terrifying. It is too terrifying. Who just said that he might not even pass the 9th level? Those palace masters in the yin-yang void realm were all in shock. The speed that Jian Wushuang comprehended sword essence far exceeded their imagination. They had thought that if Jian Wushuang made rapid progress in sword essence of raging fire, he might not make much progress in the comprehending the sword essences of Gale and Earth. After all, only 6 months had passed. If Jian Wushuang comprehended 3 sword essences during this time, it seemed impossible for him to make too much progress under normal conditions. All of them thought so. But what was the truth? What did they see? The 11th level. Jian Wushuang passed the 11th level, didn't he? What did that mean? At that moment, all of the palace masters present, including Palace Master Black and the Palace Master White, were filled with disbelief. Especially Palace Master White, who had spoken with Jian Wushuang in person, seen him pass the 8th level merely with fierce fire sword principle, but still persisted in her opinion. But now, Palace Master White only felt her face burning. Chapter 103, Bright Future. The Palace Masters were very surprised. Naturally, everyone in the square outside of the Dragon Gate was even more shocked. The 11th level of the Dragon Gate. Will he pass it? Is that even possible? Generally speaking, passing the 7th level of the Dragon Gate means his comprehension in the essence realm of heaven and earth is on a par with a master in the initial yin-yang void realm. By comparison, passing the 8th level should make him equal to an average warrior in the yin-yang void realm. Therefore, passing the 9th level, like Bai Chang, means he is much stronger than many masters in yin-yang void realm. Passing the 11th level. What a monster! How old he is, it is said that he is 17 years old now, right? A boy of 17 years old, passing the 11th level of the Dragon Gate. It caused a great stir in the square. Below the arena, everyone shouted in shock. Aha, the 11th level, that's definitely my third brother. How amazing would it be if he passed it? Wang Yuan was the happiest one among the people present. He was so proud of his brother that his voice rang out in the square. Though he had limited talent and could only pass the 4th level of the Dragon Gate even now, he had a brother who was a genius. The 11th level. Suro's beautiful eyes were also full of shock. That guy, Sulai stood at the edge of the square with a saber on his back. Looking at the sparkling golden light on the 11th floor of the Golden Tower, he couldn't help marveling at it. Even for masters on the earthly dragon list, I'm afraid only the top 10 could comprehend so deeply and pass the 11th level. However, while standing in the crowd at this moment, Nangongji was staring at the Golden Tower with a look of horror. How is that possible? Isn't this impossible? Nangongji was muttering to himself. Aha, who said that if my brother passed the 9th level, he would change his first name with his last name? Wang Yuan said sarcastically. Hearing that, the people present looked at each other speechlessly. Nangongji's face was aflame with embarrassment. He could only hide his face in shame. At a corner of the square, stood Bai Chang, a white-haired man wearing white. He looked grave while staring at the Golden Tower. Sir Greyrobe, you told me to kill him whenever I got a chance. But how? Bai Chang roared and snarled in his heart. He is at the 11th level. I could only pass the 9th level by doing my utmost. He is much stronger than me in comprehending the essence realm of heaven and earth. It is impossible for me to kill him outside, let alone inside Dragon Palace. Bai Cheng understood his own strength clearly. Compared with Jian Wushuang, he was only stronger in cultivation of spiritual power. After all, he was in profound gold core realm, while Jian Wushuang was still in the spiritual sea realm. Even so, his power would be equal to someone in initial gold core realm if he fully brought out his potential. Together with his high comprehension in sword essence, Jian Wushuang could face him without fear. Bang! The giant door of the Golden Tower opened, and Jian Wushuang walked out slowly, with his long sword on his back. He passed the 11th level. But in the 12th, the opponent was much stronger than the woman in black in the 11th, much stronger than him, too. Therefore, Jian Wushuang was quickly defeated. In front of the Dragon Gate. As soon as Jian Wushuang showed up and looked around, the whole square suddenly turned quiet. Holding their breath, all people present stared at Jian Wushuang, the person who had just defied what was considered to be common sense. Suddenly, there was a deafening shout. Aha, third brother! Wang Yuan and Suro ran towards him immediately. Awesome! Amazing! Wang Yuan patted Jian Wushuang on his shoulder. He smiled and said, the 11th level, I did not think that you would pass from the 5th level to the 11th level of the Dragon Gate without a break, right after returning. You really never cease to amaze us. Go, let's go get a drink. We must drink to celebrate. Okay. Jian Wushuang didn't say no. Then, he walked directly towards his manor under everyone's gaze. Though Jian Wushuang had left, people in the square still talked about him. Many disciples of Dragon Palace were even still in shock. Above the nearby void. Aha, Palace Master White, you misjudged him this time, said another Palace Master while laughing. Don't laugh at me. If you found out that he had great talent in comprehending the sword essences of Gale and Earth, but didn't focus on them. Instead, trying to comprehend another one sword essence of raging fire. Wouldn't you be worried? You would act the same as me. Palace Master White raised her eyebrows and smiled. She had been disappointed in Jian Wushuang because of that. However, what he had done today raised her expectations towards him, more than ever before. And she was happy about it. He surprised me, Palace Master White couldn't help saying. Not only did he comprehend 3 kinds of sword essence at one time, but he made great progress in all of them. It's amazing. Temple Master Yao nodded and highly praised him. We looked down upon him. That's true. We did look down upon him. No one expected that he was such a genius, nor that he could defy what we normally accept as common sense. We have seen lots of geniuses. But exceptional geniuses like him are so rare that, even in Dragon Palace, there is only one every few decades. He dares to comprehend 3 kinds of sword essence at one time. Not following the suggestion of Palace Master White. He doesn't care about whether people in Dragon Palace look down on him. In the very next moment, he proved that he chose the right path by going through the Dragon Gate. Though he is arrogant, I like him. We thought he was wasting his talent, but now. It is really ironic. Comprehending 3 kinds of sword essence at one time is impossible for many with normal talent. However, for those geniuses, the truly exceptional geniuses, even comprehending 4 kinds of sword essence at one time is possible, let alone 3, Palace Master Black said suddenly. Everyone present looked over at Palace Master Black. Does no one remember Crazy Saber from 100 years ago? Palace Master Black looked around and asked. Crazy Saber. Each Palace Master's heart missed a beat. It was obvious that they all knew of him. He was able to comprehend 3 kinds of saber essence at one time. Not only that, he achieved great success in all 3, even combining them with high combat effectiveness. He was called the strongest in the Yin-Yang Void Realm, and he kept the leading position on the Heavenly Dragon list for decades. Isn't that terrifying? Palace Master Black said. Hearing that, all of the Palace Masters present were respectful. They all knew how formidable Crazy Saber was. Palace Master Black continued. Swordsman's strength may be not a quarter of Crazy Saber's, but he has as much talent as Crazy Saber. In a word, he has a bright future. Chapter 104, Supreme Gold Core Realm. Back at the manor, Wang Yuan directly took out some wine. I see nectar. There was a sparkle in Jian Wushuang's eyes. You seldom drink it? Haha, but we are happy today, so drink whatever you can, Wang Yuan said in a generous tone. It's a pity that Zexuan isn't here, otherwise, we would enjoy ourselves even more today. Jian Wushuang silently laughed, but suddenly his expression changed as a look of surprise flashed in his eyes. Yuan, Ro, I'm afraid that I'll have to drink the wine with you a little later, Jian Wushuang said. What's wrong? Wang Yuan looked at him quizzically. I feel that I will have a breakthrough soon, Jian Wushuang replied. Breakthrough? Wang Yuan immediately asked with his eyes wide open. Break through the gold core. Suro immediately looked at him as well and asked. Jian Wushuang just winked at them. In the room, Jian Wushuang was sitting on the couch with his legs crossed and had a deep sparkle in his eyes. The bottleneck breaking pill is worth 5,000 points. Even though I did not get the chance of a breakthrough after I swallowed the first pill, I got it within 1 day after I swallowed the second one. He was very happy and surprised. It seemed that the spiritual sea realm was only 1 step away from the primordial gold core, but actually, the disparity between them was astonishingly great. Especially for Jian Wushuang, who was cultivating the heavenly creation skill, breaking through the gold core was definitely his top priority. After all, the primordial gold core was the only real expert in the Tianzong dynasty. Let's do it, Jian Wushuang said to himself. Jian Wushuang did not dare to waste any time. He had come here to begin the breakthrough as soon as he had realized that he had the chance. He was holding a golden sun pill tightly in his hand, and then swallowed the pill right after he began to make the breakthrough. Shortly after, the ultimate spiritual sea and spiritual power surged up in Jian Wushuang's body. At the same time, the power of the heavenly creation skill was running in his body. Suddenly, a terrific suction burst out from his body, and then the heaven and earth spiritual energy from all directions poured into Jian Wushuang's body at an amazing speed. Jian Wushuang was crazily absorbing the power. When Jian Wushuang absorbed the last heaven and earth spiritual energy along with his breath, the power in his body had reached its limit. Suddenly, the vast spiritual power crazily rushed toward the barrier. Bang! There was a muted thud. Jian Wushuang seemed a little bit quiet. The bottleneck had been broken through. The next task is achieving the supreme gold core realm. Jian Wushuang thought. The heavenly creation skill was totally different from common cultivation methods. It was the primordial gold core when ordinary warriors broke through the gold core, while it was supreme gold core when the gold core was broken through via the heavenly creation skill. Above the vast spiritual sea, the spiritual power was crazily surging, which was accompanied by a touch of purple light. This purple light was an embryo. It was very small, however, it was extremely dazzling, and it became more dazzling and bigger under the vast surging spiritual power. Finally, a purple gold core slowly formed, the size of a baby's fist. At the right moment when it was formed, the surface of the gold core split and, shortly after, two golden fringes appeared. Finally, the gold core became purple gold. Jian Wushuang suddenly opened his eyes. There was a beam of blue-white light that brushed over his dark pupils. It's the supreme gold core realm. I have achieved it? Jian Wushuang said to himself. On the couch, Jian Wushuang twisted his neck a few times, accompanied by the clear sound of bones cracking. He slightly clenched his palms and suddenly he could feel a strong power, which made him smile. The next minute, Jian Wushuang exerted the strength in his palms toward the void in the front of him. Bang! Suddenly, a burst of a crisp sound filled the whole void. Supreme Gold Core Realm. This is the Supreme Gold Core Realm, Jian Wushuang said with his eyes gleaming. Jian Wushuang did not realize what the real Supreme Gold Core Realm was until he had actually achieved it. The same as the ninth heaven of the divine path and the ultimate spiritual sea in the past. Supreme Gold Cores were pretty different from the ordinary gold cores. Supreme Gold Cores were way more powerful than the common primordial gold cores. Up till now, my achievement was just in the initial gold core realm, yet now I've just achieved the Supreme Gold Core. However, I feel my spiritual power is 100 times more powerful than the ordinary initial gold core realm. Jian Wushuang said with great surprise. He just threw a punch into the air with 50% of his power, however, the power that erupted from his body was far more powerful than in the profound gold core realm. If I punch with 100% of my power will be comparable with the normal exceptional gold core realm. Maybe I am even more powerful, Jian Wushuang thought. The strength that erupted from the initial gold core realm could match that in the exceptional gold core realm? What does that mean? Only the unbelievable heavenly creation skill can incredibly achieve this, Jian Wushuang thought. The heavenly creation skill, all its movements were unbelievable and different. For the spirit path level, the difference between Jian Wushuang and common warriors was that he had 2 more realms than they had. For the level of spiritual sea, the difference between Jian Wushuang and common warriors was that he had limitless spiritual power. However, for the primordial gold core realm, the difference between Jian Wushuang and common warriors was the strength. Strength erupted from the gold core. The strength that erupted from the supreme gold core was 100 times more powerful than the gold core at the same stage. The strength that erupted from the initial completion of the gold core realm could match the exceptional gold core realm. Starting today, I am an expert in the Tianzong dynasty, Jian Wushuang thought. He stood up and there was a vigorous breath that emanated from him. With the power equal to the exceptional gold core realm, plus the sword essence apperception at the 11th level of the Dragon Gate, how powerful am I right now? I'm not sure if I can beat the powerhouses on the earthly dragon list, Jian Wushuang thought, with his hands clenched tightly. Once Jian Wushuang achieved the supreme gold core realm, the ordinary disciples of the Dragon Palace would be no longer his competitors, including Bai Cheng. The only person who could compete with him was Sulai, who was on the earthly dragon list. But, Jian Wushuang was pretty confident that he could compete with Sulai. He was 90% sure that he could beat him. In the manner, Wang Yuan and Suro were waiting for Jian Wushuang. It's unbelievable that Wushuang dared to go through the 11th level of the Dragon Gate. In addition, right now he had another chance at a breakthrough if he could achieve the primordial gold core realm successfully. Whoa, Wang Yuan said with admiration. Suro agreed while slightly nodding her head. Jian Wushuang went through the 11th level sword essence of the Dragon Gate. If he could achieve the gold core, his power would reach a high level. Squeak. Suddenly, the door in Jian Wushuang's room was opened. The next moment, Jian Wushuang went inside slowly with a confident smile on his face. Wang Yuan and Suro looked at him immediately and realized what happened right after they noticed the gold core scent emanating from his body. Finally, Jian Wushuang had achieved the breakthrough. Chapter 105, Suro's Request. Haha. He made a breakthrough. Wang Yuan immediately stood up, laughing brightly and loudly. He has a gold core aura. Suro was stunned because she perceived something unusual. Although Jian Wushuang just made a breakthrough, the gold core aura concealed in his body was more powerful than warriors in the profound gold core realm. As usual, if Jian Wushuang didn't actively exhale it, ordinary people couldn't feel it. But Suro could perceive it because of her special circumstances. Therefore, she was very astonished. He is only in the initial gold core realm, so how could his gold core aura be so powerful? Although it seemed strange, Suro wasn't going to ask about it. After a brief pause, Jian Wushuang walked over. "Come on, third brother. Have a drink." Wang Yuan promptly took out some good wine. Jian Wushuang didn't refuse this time. He directly took the glass, looked at it, then drank it. "That's great. Not only did you reach the gold core realm, you also passed the 11th level of the Dragon Gate. I believe that nobody would dare to make trouble for me in the whole Dragon Palace, because of you," said Wang Yuan while laughing loudly. Wang Yuan was less respected in Dragon Palace because of his weak strength. But now, things would change. Like the old saying, tall trees provide the best shade. Apparently, Jian Wushuang had become a tall tree. "Third brother." Suro was about to say something, but she stopped. "What's wrong?" Jian Wushuang looked at her. "Would you do me a favor?" Suro asked. "What do you need help with?" Jian Wushuang asked, then slightly smiled. They were like family to him, so Jian Wushuang was frank and treated them sincerely. Although fourth sister, Suro, was a woman of few words with an introverted and delicate character, she would never shrink back at a crucial moment. Suro and Yang Zexuan had stepped forward to assist Jian Wushuang when he was forced to compete with Sulai. As family, what they did made Jian Wushuang feel grateful. Thus, he would not decline them if they turned to him for help. "I received news 2 days ago that a black water lotus was found in the endless mountain range. It will be completely mature in a few days. The black water lotus is useful to me," Suro said. Black water lotus. Jian Wushuang was intrigued by it. He had also heard that the black water lotus was a very rare natural treasure. Not only could the black water lotus be used to refine pills, it had an even more important use. It could breed black water lotus seeds, which would be an immeasurable help when trying to comprehend essence of the water drop. It was said that if, while comprehending essence of the water drop, one absorbed the black water lotus seed, they would greatly improve their comprehension in essence of the water drop. In Tianzong dynasty, many warriors who studied essence of the water drop were willing to pay a high price to procure a black water lotus seed. "Do you want the black water lotus seed to help you comprehend sword essence of the water drop?" Jian Wushuang asked. "No. I want the black water lotus instead of its seed," Suro replied. What she said surprised Jian Wushuang. The seed was the most valuable part of the black water lotus. As for the black water lotus itself, it was actually useless. Logically, she should be striving for the seed to help her comprehend essence of the water drop. But she cared more about the black water lotus. Why? The black water lotus is very valuable in Tianzong dynasty. Many warriors who meditate on essence of the water drop are very eager to get it. So, once the black water lotus blooms, many experts will struggle for it, Suro said. My cultivation has reached the profound gold core realm, and my comprehension is pretty good. However, I'm not confident I can acquire it in front of all those people. Jian Wushuang understood. Do you want me to help you fight for the Black Water Lotus? Jian Wushuang asked. Yes. Suro nodded. I had thought that I should turn to second brother for help when he came back, or ask some strong disciples of Dragon Palace for assistance. But now that you have made a breakthrough into the gold core realm. I see. Jian Wushuang laughed and then asked, when will we leave? Suro was delighted and replied, in 2 days. Okay. I will go with you, Jian Wushuang promised at once. Though Jian Wushuang promised Suro, he was a little curious. Why did she have no interest in the seed but care so much about the Black Water Lotus? 2 days later, Jian Wushuang and Suro departed. When they walked through Dragon Palace, the disciples of Dragon Palace couldn't help looking at Jian Wushuang. That is Swordsman. What a monster! Is he going outside to train? I heard that he reached the gold core realm. The disciples of Dragon Palace were discussing Jian Wushuang, but without being envious. After all, when a person's strength greatly exceeded their imagination and reached an incredible level, they would naturally feel respect instead of envy. Now, they realized that compared with Jian Wushuang's strength, it was like they were in 2 totally different worlds. So why compete with him? Outside Dragon Palace, 2 golden armored sergeants, riding griffins, were already waiting for them. Let's go. Jian Wushuang nodded and then he left on a griffin, heading towards the endless mountain range with Suro. Nobody knew that as soon as Jian Wushuang left, Bai Cheng reported it to Bloodfeather Tower. In a dim study, an old man in grey sat on a chair with 2 purple-masked assassins standing respectfully in front of him. Jian Wushuang has left Dragon Palace. The old man in grey raised his head, looking directly at them in a cold manner. It is said that Jian Wushuang has passed the 11th level of Dragon Gate, which shocked the whole Dragon Palace. And now he has even formed his primordial gold core. What's more, he is 17 this year. Bang! The old man in grey heavily slapped the desk, which made the green wooden desk break into pieces. He suddenly stood up and burst out with a raging voice. A 17-year-old with a primordial gold core. A 17-year-old man who passed the 11th level of the Dragon Gate. How could he progress so fast? If he keeps making progress at such speed, he will easily destroy Bloodfeather Tower in a few years. When hearing this, the 2 purple-masked assassins who were standing there respectfully began to tremble. Listen. Collect as much intelligence as you can. Find out where he is going. Find him. The first and second squad of Blood Shadow are on call. Once you find Jian Wushuang, you must immediately kill him, regardless of the cost. This time, definitely, do not give him any chances. If he escapes again, everyone involved in this mission, including both of you, will be executed. The old man in grey had an extremely cold expression. His killing intent shrouded the whole room with an ice-cold feeling. After hearing that, both of the purple-masked assassins couldn't help swallowing, then they immediately left. Chapter 106, A Gathering of Experts. Endless Mountain Range. The number of warriors in the Endless Mountain Range increased after the discovery of the Black Water Lotus was spread. Although the Endless Mountain Range was filled with countless connected mountains, there were still some lakes and streams. The Quiet Moon Lake was a normal lake in the Endless Mountain Range. However, with the appearance of the Black Water Lotus, Quiet Moon Lake was doomed to be turbulent. Near Quiet Moon Lake, there were huge crowds of people talking with each other in 2s and 3s. It was like a jamboree. So many people. Neither Jian Wushuang, a man in the initial gold core realm, nor Suro, who was in the profound gold core realm, were noteworthy in this crowd. After all, the warriors preparing to grab the Black Water Lotus seed were almost in the gold core realm. Among them, Experts in the exceptional gold core realm were more than a few. Naturally, nobody would pay attention to Jian Wushuang and Suro. But they were happy to be able to walk around leisurely, even casually picking an empty spot to sit down. Very few people have comprehended essence of the water drop among these people. Most of them were employed to fight for that black water lotus seed. Jian Wushuang smiled slightly. Like in Golden Dragon Palace, Golden Dragon guards could be hired as long as you paid a high enough price to issue tasks. Some people with low strength but a good background would employ experts, offering them a high fee to fight for the black water lotus seed. Hundreds of experts are here and more are coming. I guess that there will be a violent and tragic fight when the black water lotus appears, Suro said, then glanced at the center of Quiet Moon Lake. A dark lotus could be seen resting there. It was the black water lotus that was particularly important to her. Don't worry. Judging by its appearance, I expect that the black water lotus will finish blooming in 2 or 3 days, Jian Wushuang said with a smile. At this moment. Hey, brats! A harsh voice suddenly sounded out as a red-haired Mussulman came over and said in a low voice, "This spot belongs to us now. You can get lost." Why? Some of the people were instantly disgruntled. Jian Wushuang and Suro also looked at them because they were sitting in that area too. "If you don't do what I said, I will kill you." The red-haired Mussulman stared at those disgruntled people. At the same time, following behind the red-haired Mussulman, a line of people arrived. Their leader was a well-groomed man who held a fan. "Have you found the spot?" The voice of this well-groomed man was cold and his expression plainly showed a vestige of arrogance. Seeing this well-groomed man, those disgruntled people in the area were shocked. "He is Master Mubai." "Yes. It is Ling Mubai, ranked 96th on the Earthly Dragon list. People from the Earthly Dragon list are here as well." Being on the Earthly Dragon list was what all warriors in the Gold Core realm desired the most. Ranking on the Earthly Dragon list was the dream of numerous people. Tianzong dynasty was vast and warriors of the Gold Core realm were countless. However, merely 100 people were qualified to rank on the Earthly Dragon list. Naturally, all of them were true experts, and each one was famous. Now a warrior on the Earthly Dragon list had arrived. This naturally caused a bit of a stir. "Hem. Since you recognize he is Master Mubai, get lost," that red-haired Mussulman shouted brutally. Immediately, those people who were previously malcontent with the red-haired Mussulman got up and left cautiously. "Let's go too," Jian Wushuang said, then he and Suro both left the area. Of course, Jian Wushuang made a concession not because he was afraid of Ling Mubai. He just felt it was unnecessary to breed enmity with him. Though Ling Mubai appears mild and gentle, he is actually very ferocious, Suro couldn't help saying. In this fight for the black water lotus seed, the arriving experts on the Earthly Dragon list are absolutely not only Ling Mubai. However, when the fighting begins, those experts will be seen as the main adversaries by others because of their fame. "But we are different from them," Jian Wushuang said and smiled. "Neither of us are known to the public. Our realm is ordinary, without anything that stands out. Nobody knows how strong we are. Therefore, we will take advantage of that when the real fighting for the black water lotus begins." "Yeah." Suro nodded. She also understood. Time was fleeting and 3 days passed quickly. During these 3 days, a cascade of warriors in the Gold Core realm had arrived at Quiet Moon Lake, one after the other. Now, the number of warriors by Quiet Moon Lake was more than 10,000. Among those people, there were a lot of famous experts. Not to mention the experts with great strength and reputation in Tianzong dynasty, just the people from the Earthly Dragon list counted 6. These 6 experts ranking on the Earthly Dragon list was extremely outstanding compared to everyone else. "Look. He's Fire Lion, rank 63rd on the Earthly Dragon list. Blood Knife 2xin. He's also here." Look. That's Master Mubai, he's mild and gentle as usual. She's Xi Yang, that crazy woman, even she is here. In the crowd, profusions of warriors were discussing amongst themselves, and they mostly focused on the experts on the earthly dragon list. Fire Lion, 2xin, Xi Yang, and Ling Mubai are all less than rank 60 on the earthly dragon list. They are not the real experts. Jian Wushuang talked with Suro casually. On the earthly dragon list, higher ranking meant more strength. Of the 6 present earthly dragon listed experts, only 2 could actually be a serious threat to Jian Wushuang. The first one was a purple-robed man carrying a 2-section long spear on his back. Although he was in his 20s at the most, his dark eyes were incomparably chilly and the atmosphere around him was terrifying. Magic Spear Gu Tao. He ranked 39th on the earthly dragon list. It was said that Gu Tao was an orphan who grew up in a bandit camp. A heart full of killing was formed because of his rough experiences when he was young. He comprehended essence of the water drop, so the black water lotus seed was highly useful to him. And the other one was a very carefree, cyan-robed, middle-aged man. The cyan-robed man wore a casual garment and was currently relaxing the trunk of a big tree, holding a flagon while drinking in a carefree manner with a red face. Xiao Mang had become famous 10 years ago. At that time he was already on the earthly dragon list. But now, 10 years later, he was ranked 22 RD on the earthly dragon list. He ranked the highest among the 6 present experts on the earthly dragon list. Meanwhile, Xiao Mang didn't comprehend essence of the water drop. He was not invited to help fight for the black water lotus seed by anyone here, so he was by himself. However, he had come. Chapter 107, Fighting Someone on the Earthly Dragon List. Magic Spear Gu Tao and Xiao Mang, the 39th and 22nd ranked experts on the Earthly Dragon List, are much stronger than the other ranked warriors here. Especially the latter. Jian Wushuang's dark eyes couldn't help turning towards at the carefree middle-aged man who was relaxing on a branch. Although he seemed carefree, the cyan-robed man brought Jian Wushuang greatest pressure out of everyone there. Just one single black water lotus attracted so many experts. It's completely unimaginable. There are even so many earthly dragon list experts. We are in big trouble, Suro commented with a stern look on her face. There is trouble, but it doesn't mean we have no chance, said Jian Wushuang. Third brother, based on your current power, can you compete against these earthly dragon list experts, asked Suro. Suro knew Jian Wushuang was very powerful. His gold core aura was far above the profound gold core realm, and his comprehension of sword essence allowed him to pass the 11th level of the Dragon Gate. Jian Wushuang's actual power should be much stronger than a warrior in the exceptional gold core realm. But, how strong was he really? Suro had no idea. With the exception of Xiao Mang, I am sure I can defeat the others one-on-one, Jian Wushuang answered. Suro was stunned for a second. To be honest, after breaking through to the gold core realm, I understand a little about my strength, but I can't judge exactly how strong I am. After all, I've never fought against an earthly dragon list expert. Jian Wushuang smiled, and then asked, how about you? As for me, if I fight with my full power, I can barely beat one of them. I mean one who is ranked above 60th. I am too much weaker than Gu Tao and Xiao Mang, said Suro. Oh. Jian Wushuang was really surprised. Of course, Suro just reached the profound gold core realm, and her comprehension of essences was only enough to pass the 7th level of the Dragon Gate. This level of strength could barely compete against an average person in the exceptional gold core realm. Yet, Suro dared to say that she could barely fight against an earthly dragon list expert? My fourth sister really has a lot of secrets. Jian Wushuang sighed to himself. Since a long time ago, he realized that Suro had a big secret. After all, she was only 15 years old. A 15-year-old girl at the profound gold core realm. How marvelous! How could a common person attain that? On top of that, Suro, who understood essence of the water drop, was only interested in the black water lotus itself rather than its seeds. It was quite strange. Now, Suro dared to say that she could barely fight against an earthly dragon list expert? All in all, Suro appeared extremely different. Of course, although Jian Wushuang knew that Suro had some secrets, he did not intend to ask about them. Everyone had their secrets. Suro had some, so did he. Suddenly, at that moment, a disturbance took place near Quiet Moon Lake. Both Jian Wushuang and Ruro looked in that direction. What they saw was a thickly built red-robed old man slowly walk toward Lord Ling Muebai. I am Ding Mo. I've heard of Master Muebai's name long ago. How lucky to meet you today. I specifically came here to challenge you. This red-robed old man's sonorous and resonant voice immediately spread around the whole Quiet Moon Lake. Someone wants to challenge Ling Muebai. Haha, finally someone puts forward a challenge. Who's Ding Mo? Never heard of him. I know about Ding Mo. I have heard of him. He's a famous three-clawed golden dragon guard. He fiercely fought against 3 people in the exceptional gold core realm at the same time, and even managed to kill them all in the end. All the warriors near Quiet Moon Lake became excited. In fact, since these earthly dragon list experts turned up by Quiet Moon Lake, many people had assumed that someone would challenge them. Being on the earthly dragon list could make one famous around the world. This was a gold core warrior's dream. Many confident gold core warriors were eager to challenge the earthly dragon list experts. However, the number of these experts was limited, so it was hard to meet them normally. However, the fight for the black water lotus seeds had attracted at least 6 earthly dragon list experts. The gold core warriors who were eager to enter the earthly dragon list, and confident about their strength, would never miss such a great opportunity. Now, the warrior named Ding Mo appeared. Being challenged in front of so many people, Lord Ling Muebai's gentle face immediately became cold. Ding Mo? Where did a nobody like you come from? I've never heard of you. Ling Muebai scratched his own ear. After today's fight, you will know about me. Not only you, but everyone in the whole Tianzong dynasty will know my name. I will be on the earthly dragon list and become famous around the world, by using your name as a stepping stone, said the red-robed old man in a low voice. Hearing these words, the audience burst into an uproar. Get on the earthly dragon list using my name as a stepping stone? How arrogant! Aren't you afraid such big words crush your tongue? Ling Muebai's complexion turned colder. Haha, there is no other way. There are at least 6 earthly dragon list experts here, and your rank is the lowest. If I don't challenge you, who should I begin with? Ding Mo asked while grinning. You must want to die. Now, Ling Muebai was infuriated. With a low-voiced shout, his body suddenly rushed out. Perfect. Ding Mo burst into a laughter. His ignitus-gloved palm suddenly clenched and became a fist. A gust of strong spiritual power gathered into the center of his palm. Like a burning drill, the red fist burst forward. The fist instantly crashed into the cold blade light that suddenly appeared in front its owner. Bang! A huge sound echoed as 2 terrible forces exploded at the same time. At that moment, the spiritual power produced by 2 experts formed into gusts of wind, wildly sweeping in all directions. Ripples appeared in the surrounding air. The great number of primordial warriors standing around were also engulfed, some of whom closed their eyes immediately. A few relatively weaker warriors even had trouble standing straight in the face of this gust of wind. Ling Muebai's complexion changed a little. Evidently, he never thought that the man in front of him, whom he had never heard of, could bear one of his slashes head on. What's more, his opponent showed no sign of being suppressed. Bang! A sharp snap was heard from the air. It was Ding Mo's fierce palm. Ling Mubai also thrust out ferociously. As the two palms touched each other, the violent spiritual power wildly exploded again. "Haha, Ling Mubai, let's fight with our full strength," said Ding Mo, completely releasing his power. At that moment, his whole body seemed to have been transformed into an ancient ferocious beast, with two arms like sturdy hooves. An immense force could be felt from the terrifying and continuous attacks. Every time his fists passed by, the area would tremble with a deafening wind-breaking noise. Enormous power soared to the sky with an overwhelming aura. As for Ling Mubai, his finger looked like a knife, with dazzling blade light bursting out continuously. Every blade flash surged with an amazing power and essence of the water drop. Their fierce fight turned white-hot in an instant. By Quiet Moon Lake, numerous gold core warriors were spectating with full attention. Chapter 108, The Black Water Lotus Blooms. Awesome! Is that the strength of an expert on the earthly dragon list? Too strong. Even though I am in the exceptional gold core realm, when facing off with Ling Mubai, I wouldn't be able to resist a single attack from his palm. Ding Mo is awesome as well. His fists were very erratic, but he was even stronger than Ling Mubai in terms of momentum. The warriors of the gold core realm looked attentively at them, full of excitement and boiling blood. Standing side by side at a corner of Quiet Moon Lake, Jian Wushuang and Suro also witnessed the fierce battle. Is this the strength of an expert on the earthly dragon list? Jian Wushuang smiled slightly. Good. His cultivation has reached the peak of exceptional gold core realm. Moreover, I think he could pass through the 8th level of the Dragon Gate with his comprehension. Ling Mubai is at the bottom of the earthly dragon list, ranking 96th. Therefore, his strength isn't too terrifying. The higher ranked on the list, the stronger they are. Not surprisingly, warriors out the top 50 of the earthly dragon list could easily pass through the 9th level of the Dragon Gate with their comprehension, Suro said. Agreed. Jian Wushuang nodded. Then he sighed secretly and said, it seems that Ding Mo is strong enough to be listed on the earthly dragon list since he has fought with Ling Mubai head-on. Though there are only 6 experts of the earthly dragon list here, the number of warriors who are strong enough to enter the list is much more than 6. At the moment, the battle between Ling Mubai and Ding Mo was drawing to a close. It was hard to tell which one was stronger in the fierce battle. Finally, Ling Mubai won by a narrow margin. Although he won, he squeaked through it. Ding Mo, who could almost be matched with Ling Mubai, is also very awesome. That was close, Ling Mubai nearly lost. Ding Mo is strong enough to enter the earthly dragon list. After the battle, everyone present would remember the name of Ding Mo. But not long after that. Fire Lion, do you dare to fight with me? 2xin, you are named Blood Saber, so am I. Since we met, surely we should have a battle and see who is stronger. He, Zi Yang, right? You are the only woman among the 6 experts of the earthly dragon list, I have no choice but to challenge you. Since that, many people challenged those 6 experts of the earthly dragon list. Apparently, the challengers were also very strong. In fact, many of the people present were not interested in the black water lotus seed at all. They came here especially for challenging the experts of the earthly dragon list or watching their battles. Soon, many exciting battles had started. Third brother, there are many experts on the earthly dragon list, would you like to challenge one? If you defeated one face to face, your name will be famous throughout the world, Suro said. I don't need to. Jian Wushuang shook his head and said, when the fight for the black water lotus starts, I will have to face them. At that time I'll have a chance to defeat them. Have you noticed that out of the many challengers, none challenged Gu Tao and Xiao Mang? Instead, Ling Mubai was challenged the most, Jian Wushuang said with a smile. I noticed, but it's normal. He ranks the lowest among them, surely he is the weakest target, Suro said coldly. Jian Wushuang could not help laughing. The sun was setting. Soon it was dusk. Near Quiet Moon Lake, it was still bustling with challenges and battles were still going. However, at that moment, in the center of Quiet Moon Lake, the budding black water lotus started to bloom. All the black petals expanded. In seconds, that black water lotus burst into full bloom, with a refreshing aroma permeating the air. Many warriors of the Gold Core realm at Quiet Moon Lake smelled it. Suddenly, shua! Everyone looked towards the black water lotus. The black water lotus was in full bloom. At the very center of the flower laid 7 black water lotus seeds. As soon as they saw them, many warriors in the Gold Core realm were filled with burning desire. The black water lotus had bloomed. So did the black water lotus seeds. There were even 7 seeds. Grab them. Go. Go, go, go. Ha ha. The party has started. Many low voices from Gold Core warriors were raised, at the same time, as they all quickly rushed towards the black water lotus at the center of Quiet Moon Lake without hesitation. Fourth sister, go. Jian Wushuang's eyes burst out dazzling light, too. Immediately, both he and Suro rushed towards the black water lotus. In only a moment, many of the warriors gathered around Quiet Moon Lake had rushed in. Pia! 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 The solace of their feet splashed across the top of the water. Warriors of primordial Gold Core couldn't void walk yet like those supreme experts in the yin-yang void realm. But they could walk on the surface of the water. Soon, many experts had gathered there. From afar, they looked like hornets. The experts on the earthly dragon list rushed in front, including Gutao, Fire Lion, Butcher, and the rest. The black water lotus seed is useful for me in comprehending essence of the water drop. 7 seeds in total, I must get at least 3. Magic Spear Gutao had a determined look in his eyes, and he was burning with killing intent. But at that moment, a figure, flickering like a ghost, rushed ahead of Gutao, Fire Lion, and others towards the black water lotus. What? So fast? It's him. The expert rank 79th on the earthly dragon list Celestial Fox Healing. Many warriors of the Gold Core realm instantly recognized him. It seemed there were only 6 experts on the earthly dragon list. However, they didn't notice that Celestial Fox Healing was hiding in the dark. The biggest advantage Healing had was his incredible speed. Once he displayed his power, he was much faster than Gutao. It should be known that Gutao ranked 39th on the earthly dragon list. Of course, fast speed didn't mean that he could easily get the black water lotus seeds. Bastard, you want the black water lotus seed? No way. Gutao shouted, then he fiercely brandished the blood-red spear in his hands. At once the spear pierced through the air and its sharp head appeared behind Healing. Not just Gutao, but all warriors of the Gold Core realm, who were also rushing towards the black water lotus seeds, instantly attacked when they saw him closing in on the black water lotus. Kill him. Attack. Attack. Keep him away from the black water lotus. Being experts in the Gold Core realm, they could easily use their spiritual power to attack Healing from a long distance. A great number of attacks immediately surged out. An innumerable amount of attacks swept towards Healing. Chapter 109, Heated Battle. Damn it! Healing's countenance greatly changed. He hastily retreated, giving up the black water lotus. A large number of horrible attacks lost their target, instantly bombarding the surface of the lake. Boom! The whole Quiet Moon Lake was abruptly shaken. The massive lake water lifted up like a tsunami, generating a water curtain more than several meters tall. The water curtain kept rising, which blocked everyone's vision. Get in. Go. A lot of Gold Core warriors with great strength directly rushed into the water curtain without any hesitation, while those Gold Core warriors with weaker strength wavered because they couldn't see the black water lotus through the huge water curtain. Hurry up! Attack! Attack! Even if you can't see anyone, just attack. Regardless of whether people are hit or not. Although a great many gold core warriors didn't rush into the water curtain, they were busy attacking toward the water curtain. All of the attacks were definitely launched at random without any targets. They didn't know whether it would hit someone or not. But they didn't care either way. If they could not have it, then they would not let those experts in water curtain have it either. They didn't even worry about whether or not they would destroy the black water lotus. After all, the 7 seeds were the most valuable. The black water lotus itself was useless. Besides, black water lotus seeds was less likely to be hit because of their small size. Even if the black water lotus was totally destroyed in the attack, it was unimportant. Almost 100 experts rushed into the water curtain, including Jian Wushuang and Suro. They all approached the black water lotus at their fastest speed. Therefore, there were 6 people closing in on the black water lotus. Respectively, they were Magic Spear Gu Tao, Ling Mubai, Butcher, Zai Yang, Jian Wushuang, and Suro. Gu Tao stared at the 7 black water lotus seeds with great intensity. The black water lotus seeds belong to me, Gu Tao directly growled. Gu Tao, you are strong. But if you think you can keep all 7 black water lotus seeds by yourself, you're really looking down on us, the coquettish and gracious lady said in a cold tone. How dare you bastards compete with me? Get out! Gu Tao thundered. The blood-red spear in his hand released a great amount of power as it was instantly thrust out. The blood-red spear flickered out like a viper sticking out its tongue. Swoosh! 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 He instantly pierced 5 times at the same time, piercing towards the 5 people near him. What's more, he did it at an amazingly fast speed. When seeing the bloody spear shadow piercing toward them, Ling Mubai, Butcher, and Zai Yang immediately blocked it without any hesitation. However, after the power of the bloody spear shadow exploded, their expressions changed color and they instantly retreated several steps. The blood-red spear also pierced toward Jian Wushuang and Suro. This move, Jian Wushuang suddenly felt shocked and said, it would be enough to pass the 9th level of the Dragon Gate. At that moment, Jian Wushuang immediately became serious, wielding his triple kill sword with powerful sword essence of earth. Clang! When the sword edge clashed with the blood-red spear, Jian Wushuang used his power to directly knock back the blood-red spear. Once the long spear was knocked back, Gu Tao's offensive disintegrated. He was unable to pierce towards Suro with the 5th move. Huh! Gu Tao raised his head, looking at Jian Wushuang in surprise. Although it was not his strongest strike, the blood-red spear was strong enough to hold back 3 experts of the earthly dragon list like Ling Mubai. However, this obscure person in the initial gold core realm withstood it. Not only did Jian Wushuang succeed in withstanding it, he instantly pierced toward Gu Tao's throat with the flash of a cold sword light. It was so fast that Gu Tao's face couldn't help changing color. He immediately stepped back. Gu Tao was forced back by Jian Wushuang, while Ling Mubai and other 2 men were forced back by Gu Tao. Now, Jian Wushuang felt delighted because he and Suro were the closest to Black Water Lotus. However, before he could pick up the Black Water Lotus, he found that a massive attack was heading towards them. Shit! After noticing it, Jian Wushuang's face changed color. All these attacks, launched by warriors in the gold core realm who were staying outside the water curtain, were driftless and random. However, the direction of all attacks pointed to where the black water lotus was. Under normal circumstance, Jian Wushuang could easily avoid those attacks. But right now, he could not retreat. He knew that the black water lotus was behind him. In order to get the black lotus seeds, those ordinary warriors could destroy Black Lotus because they did not care about the lotus itself. But Jian Wushuang could not let it happen. What Suro wanted was Black Water Lotus itself. 4th sister, Take the black water lotus and leave this to me, Jian Wushuang said with a growl. Okay, Suro replied without hesitation. She knew that she wasn't allowed to hesitate in this situation. Seeing the massive attack heading towards them, a sharp light quickly flashed through Jian Wushuang's eyes. Then, a powerful sword essence of earth was released. Reincarnation sword skill. Swoosh. Sword shadows slashed out in rapid succession. When massive attacks were about to land. Boom. 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 A succession of impacts sounded out with hardly any pause. Although every attack wasn't very strong, the number of attacks was too great. Jian Wushuang had to make perfect use of the reincarnation sword skill, trying his best to withstand them. Fortunately, he had perfect control of the reincarnation sword skill. When wielding this sword skill, he created a rainbow sword flash which seemed to be a barrier of sword essence to keep out of all the attacks. Finally, Jian Wushuang was merely forced to step back several meters by the impact force. Well, those people can't clearly see what is in the water curtain. They are just randomly attacking, so I can withstand them. Otherwise, Jian Wushuang rejoiced and looked towards Suro. At that time, Suro had been reaching out to pick up the black water lotus. Stop! Gu Tao thundered with rage in his eyes. Leave the black lotus seeds. Ling Mubai, 2xin, Zi Yang, and many other experts in the gold core realm were very frightened and angry. Although they were raging, they couldn't stop Suro from such a long distance. Suro was going to successfully pluck the black water lotus. Suddenly, a cold sword light directly chopped towards Suro. The blade flash was ice cold and dazzling, with overwhelming power. Where it passed, there was nothing. When the ice-cold blade flash appeared, many experts in the water curtain greatly changed color and became panicky. Even experts of the earthly dragon list like Gu Tao and Ling Mubai were flustered and filled with dread. Their pupils suddenly shrunk while looking at the incoming blade light. Chapter 110, Sword Shadows and Blade Lights Collide. This blade move, Suro had almost had the black water lotus when she suddenly noticed the dazzling cold blade. It seemed it could split the heaven and the earth, and it was slashing directly toward her. This blade light made everyone shiver. Suro's expression paled immediately. At the same time, she judged that the blade was aiming for her arm. If she continued reaching for the black water lotus, her entire arm would be chopped off. Her armor, the black water lotus, Suro picked the former without hesitation. She retracted her hand as she retreated rapidly. Just as she drew back her hand, the gleaming cold blade light swept past where her arm had been. Swoosh! Chopping through the air, the blade light gradually faded away. However, a huge crack, dozens of meters long and half a meter wide, emerged across the surface of Quiet Moon Lake. It looked as if the lake had been split in half. Then, the water on both sides of the crack began flooding into the center. Whoosh! A nimble and unrestrained figure in cyan appeared abruptly and picked up the desired black water lotus with a simple stretch of his hand. Only later did people look at his gently smiling face. The whole Quiet Moon Lake turned still immediately. The high-rise water curtain had descended, and now all the people around Quiet Moon Lake could see the figure in cyan holding the black water lotus. Meanwhile, they also saw the huge crack that nearly tore the lake in two. Everyone looked awed at that moment. Fourth sister, are you all right? Jian Wushuang came to Suro. I'm fine, Suro shook her head, but her face stiffened. Is that him? Jian Wushuang looked at him, too. The unrestrained man in cyan was the top expert he had paid so much attention to, Xiao Mang. Xiao Mang ranked 22nd on the earthly dragon list. Much higher than Gu Tao. There was no doubt his strength was more extraordinary. No one there, including Gu Tao, Ling Mubai and the other experts on earthly dragon list, was confident enough to take on that glorious, yet extremely dreadful, blade move. Not without getting hurt anyway. Xiao Mang, Gu Tao gazed at Xiao Mang, and said with a grim face, "You've never comprehended essence of the water drop, and someone like you would never help others fight for the black water lotus. So the 7 black water lotus seeds should mean nothing to you." "You are right." Xiao Mang lifted his head a bit and glanced at Gu Tao, saying with a smile, "The 7 black lotus seeds do indeed mean nothing to me, so." As he spoke, Xiao Mang reached out and picked off the 7 seeds in the center of the lotus, then released his grip in front of the astonished crowd. The 7 black lotus seeds dropped into the lake down below. All the gold core warriors there were speechless. Getting the black water lotus using overpowering strength, then throwing away the most precious part, the lotus seeds, into the water? Xiao Mang obviously had no interest in the 7 seeds. "The seeds are of no use to me, but I can benefit a lot from the black water lotus, so I'll be taking the lotus. Anyone got a problem?" Xiao Mang said, as he looking around. Hearing what Xiao Mang said, everyone was elated. He only wants the lotus instead of the seeds. Gu Tao, Ling Mubai, and other experts on the earthly dragon list were surprised. The seeds of the black water lotus were helpful for comprehending essence of the water drop, but the flower itself could hardly be put to use. So the flower could not attract any of the gold core warriors there. "Xiao Mang, you may leave now, since you have the black water lotus," Gu Tao said bluntly. "Right, you can leave. We will not stop you," said Ling Mubai and other experts on earthly dragon list. Xiao Mang nodded, and turned around slowly under everyone's gaze, but suddenly, whoosh! Whoosh! 2 figures blocked his way. They were Jian Wushuang and Suro. Jian Wushuang stared at Xiao Mang and spoke to him, half smiling. However, his calm and cold words made the atmosphere tense up again. "Sorry, I also have no interest in the seeds, but I have to take the black water lotus." What Jian Wushuang said startled everyone around Quiet Moon Lake. What's that boy trying to do? Who is he? How dare he stop Xiao Mang? Someone in the initial gold core realm dares to stop Xiao Mang? And he even said he wanted the black water lotus too? Does he want to die? A majority of the gold core warriors there thought Jian Wushuang was insane. While those who had fought with Jian Wushuang in the water curtain were wearing a strange expression. This boy, Gu Tao frowned and took a look at Jian Wushuang, whom he had just encountered. Although Jian Wushuang was just in the initial gold core realm, his strength was way beyond his realm. Jian Wushuang was calm, no matter how people stared at him. He didn't know why Xiao Mang also wanted the black water lotus, but he knew he had to win it back for Suro. Initial gold core realm. Xiao Mang raised his head and took a look at Jian Wushuang without saying anything, but he suddenly unsheathed the saber on his back. Swoosh! Blade light burst out again, still cold and dazzling. The overwhelming blade light slashed forward with irresistible force. Everybody stared at the blade light in astonishment. It was this blade flash that had nearly split the whole Quiet Moon Lake in half. What a dreadful blade light! Even Gu Tao, Ling Mubai, and other experts could not help feeling frightened the moment they saw it. While the blade light slashed towards him, Jian Wushuang still looked calm as ever. But, in the next second, he drew his sword out from the sheath. Supreme Gold Core, a power that was 100 times stronger than the initial Gold Core realm, exploded in an instant. Formless Sword Wave, 10th move. Boom! The air was instantly split wherever that terrifying sword shadow directly passed. Right away, all the gold core warriors around felt like a majestic huge mountain was pressing down on them from the sword, and the heavy load made them unable to breathe. The heaven and the earth was overshadowed by the majestic sword shadow. The sword shadow slashed forward at an incredible speed, splitting the water in the lake as it passed. Swoosh! Swoosh! In a blink of an eye, 2 enormous waves were lifted on both sides of the sword shadow. The next moment, the mighty sword shadow crashed with the cold shining blade light. It seemed like two different worlds collided. The heavens split and the earth cracked.